The distress beacon had been broadcasting for 72 standard cycles when the HFY Council finally detected it. Ambassador Zixai's membrane quivered as she absorbed the desperate message emanating from the Outer Rim territories. Please, anyone who receives this transmission. The Vorthic swarm has consumed 17 systems. We are the last survivors of the Million Confederacy. Our children ... our elders. They're gone. If there's anyone out there with the strength to stand against them, we beg you. The transmission cut to static. Zixai's 4 eyes dimmed with sorrow. The Vorthic were a nightmare spoken of in hushed tones across civilized space, a hive-minded species that devoured entire worlds, leaving nothing but barren husks in their wake. No military force had ever successfully repelled them. The best any species could do was evacuate before the swarm arrived. There's nothing we can do, whispered Counselor Morhan, his crystalline form pulsing with grief. The Vorthic consume everything. Metal, flesh, atmosphere, even the electromagnetic signatures of our ships draw them like moths to flame. What about the Zephyrians? Suggested another council member. Their plasma weaponry, ineffective, Morhan interrupted. The swarm adapted to their frequency within hours. 3 billion Zephyrians became biomass for the hive. Zixai studied the star charts, her tentacles tracing the Vorthic's projected path. System after system fell into the red zone areas of complete consumption. Then her eyes fixed on a small, unremarkable yellow star system near the distress beacon's origin point. What's this? She magnified the display. Sol 3? An isolated system, Morhan replied dismissively. Single species barely achieved interstellar. Travel a few cycles ago. They call themselves humans, I believe. Came from what the Galactic Database classifies as a Class 12 Death World. Death World? Zixai's membranes ripple with curiosity. Extreme gravity, violent weather patterns, competing apex predators, frequent extinction events, toxic atmosphere composition shifts, Morhan listed. The fact that any complex life evolved there is considered a statistical impossibility. The species that emerged is ... unusual. Before Zixai could respond, her communication array lit up with an incoming transmission. The source coordinates made her recoil it was coming from the heart of Vorthic-controlled space. A bipedal figure appeared on the holographic display. Pale skin stretched over a sturdy frame, with small forward-facing predator eyes and exposed dental structures when it spoke. A human. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the Terran Defense Fleet, the creature said, its voice carrying an odd-quality controlled aggression wrapped in diplomatic courtesy. We intercepted the Million Distress Beacon. Our ships are already en route. To assist. Impossible, Morhan sputtered. Nothing survives in Vorthic space. The human's mouth curved upward in expression Zixai's database identified as potentially threatening. We're not nothing, Counselor. We're humans. The rescue operation began 3 cycles later. Zixai had insisted on witnessing it personally, despite the Council's protests. Her observation ship maintained a safe distance as the Terran fleet emerged from hyperspace. They were unlike any vessels she'd ever seen. Where other species built elegant, streamlined ships that danced through space like living things, human ships were brutal, angular constructs that looked like they'd been designed to ram through asteroid fields, which, according to intercepted communications, they often did. Contact, announced the human admiral's voice over the comm. We've got approximately 40 million Vorthic bioships surrounding the million survivors. Standard formation suggests they're preparing for a feeding frenzy. Zixai watched in horror as the swarm a writhing mass of organic vessels that pulsed with bioluminescent hunger detected the human fleet. The Vorthic ships moved like a single organism, flowing toward the newcomers with predatory grace. Admiral, Zixai transmitted urgently, you must retreat. The swarm will adapt to your weapons within... Ma'am, with respect, came the reply. We didn't come here to run. What happened next defied everything Zixai knew about warfare. The Terran ships didn't rely on energy weapons or sophisticated targeting systems. Instead, they launched waves of crude projectiles, chunks of dense metal accelerated to relativistic speeds. When the Vorthic began to adapt, the humans switched to different materials. Depleted uranium, tungsten, compressed carbon. They're changing their defensive algorithms, reported one human officer. Then change the ammunition, Admiral Chun replied calmly. Load the kitchen sink rounds. Zixai's translator struggled with the idiom, but the effect was clear. The human ships began firing literally anything they could accelerate waste materials. Defunct equipment, even what appeared to be compacted biological waste. The Vorthic, evolved to adapt to sophisticated threats, couldn't process the chaotic randomness. Their biological computers, designed to find patterns and exploit weaknesses, found no pattern to adapt to. But the real shock came when several Vorthic bioships managed to breach the human formation and attach themselves to a Terran destroyer. Instead of evacuating, the human crew did something unprecedented. They opened the airlocks. What are they doing? Zixai gasped. Boarding action. Admiral Chun's voice carried an edge of grim satisfaction. The Vorthic expect their prey to hide in metal shells. They don't expect the prey to invite them in for a close-quarters fight. Through her ship's sensors, Zixai detected the chaos aboard the human vessel. The Vorthic drones, each the size of a hovercar and equipped with razor-sharp appendages, poured through the breach, expecting to find cowering, soft-bodied creatures. Instead, they found humans in power armor carrying weapons that fired explosive projectiles at point-blank range. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, the Vorthic boarding party was dead, and human engineers were already stripping their bioships for useful materials. Scavengers, breathed Counselor Morin, who had insisted on monitoring the engagement. They're scavengers. No, Zixai corrected, watching as the human fleet systematically dismantled the swarm with relentless efficiency. They're apex predators, and the Vorthic just discovered they're not at the top of the food chain anymore. The rescue of the million survivors took 6 hours. The complete destruction of the Vorthic presence in the system took 12. When it was over, Admiral Chun's scarred face appeared on Zixai's view screen once more. Survivors are secure, she reported. We're establishing a quarantine perimeter around the consumed worlds. Our xenobiologists want to study the Vorthic adaptation mechanisms. Might be useful for developing better countermeasures. Admiral, Zixai found herself asking, why did you come? Your species barely knows we exist. The human's expression softened slightly, because someone asked for help. And because, she paused, searching for words, because Earth taught us that survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about refusing to give up, even when the odds are impossible. As the Terran fleet departed, carrying the rescued millions to safety, Zixai made a note in her official report. Recommend immediate diplomatic contact with the human species. Classification: strategic ally, class of priority. She didn't mention the other notes she made in her personal files. Death World species may be the galaxy's greatest natural resource. The question isn't whether they can protect us, it's whether we deserve their protection. In the depths of space, where ancient horrors lurked and civilizations trembled, word began to spread through the galactic community. When you cry for help in the darkness, sometimes Death Worlders answer. And they bring friends.